Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are well. We're going to go ahead, just a quick note on the agenda. So our agenda previously stated September 22nd, even though it is the correct agenda for October 27th. So if you're looking at one that says 27th but has an October date at the bottom, you're looking at the right one. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with that agenda. So we're going to start with our welcome introduction. So my name is Amelia Fleitz, and I am the Trinity County Fire Safe Council Coordinator. I'm going to pass it in the room, and then we'll go to Zoom.
I'm Keith Roars with the paperwork, Shasta Trinity National Forest, Field Officer.
All right, and we'll throw it onto Zoom. Go ahead, Pat.
I'm sorry, this is Pat Frost. I'm with Trinity Center Community Services District.
Great. We'll pass it to Mike.
Hi, everybody. Mike Catoni, Deputy Director for Trinity OES.
Bethany.
Bethany Llewellyn, Forest Health Project Coordinator at Trinity County RCD.
Chris.
I'm Chris Cole. I'm the Forest Health Program Manager at Trinity County RCD.
Philip.
Philip Simi, Trinity County OES Emergency Operations Manager.
Miles.
Hi, I'm Miles Raymond, Grizzly Corps Fellow at the Trinity County RCD.
All right, Jill.
Good afternoon, Jill Cox, Trinity County Board of Supervisors.
James.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is James Lee. I work at the Trinity River Restoration Program. I'm mainly just listening in as a kind of as a citizen, though.
All right, Tim.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tim Ritchie, currently detailed as the Deputy Fire Management Officer on the Shasta Trinity, and normally work out of Weaverville there in Fields.
Nancy.
Nancy Anderson, Lewiston, and local area advisor from this area.
Dina.
Hello, I'm Dina Magdaleno. I'm representing the Sonungwe tribe.
All right, Maya.
Maya Williams, Education and Outreach Project Coordinator for the Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
Nancy Curran.
Nancy Curran, Six Rivers National Forest, Mad River Fuels Forester.
And Carol.
Hi, Carol Fall, Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department.
All right, and then last in the room.
I'm Ren Winter, Forester at Trinity River Lumber.
Okay, so we need to, as our first agenda item, set our November and December meeting dates. And so for that, we sent out a doodle poll. However, we had fairly low participation in that. Our 2 days that have the most responses so far are November 17th from 10 to noon and December 1st from 10 to noon. So I wanted to get a quick poll as to if either of those 2 dates, if there's any other major conflicts.
Amelia, there's a special board meeting on that December date.
On December 1st?
Yes, trying to figure out what it is. It might not last very long. And it's only scheduled for 30 minutes from 9:30 to 10. Oh, well, you said 10 to noon. We're good. Sorry. Oh, wait a minute. I mean, it doesn't depend on me, but I can't be there on the 1st. There's a SCED meeting and those are live and ready.
Okay. Thank you, Regina. Sorry about that. Regina Moon is here too with the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council. Any other conflicts the 17th or the 1st? All right, so not hearing anything else, and that's the only conflict so far. We'll go ahead and schedule it for the 17th from 10 to noon, November 17th. All right, do we have any additions or changes to the agenda today? Okay, so we have two additions for letter of support. One is a small change and the other is a new request for letter of support. So we'll put that underneath the grant section and handle that there. Okay. Moving on to our discussion. So we're looking at updating our MOU, identifying the new chairs, and working on our voting rights. So I wanted to get some input before I start drafting our new MOU to cover the chair and the voting rights and have a little bit of that discussion before we move on. So with the chair position, it had been proposed for Trinity County OES to hold either a chair or vice chair seats, and then to maintain the other chair or vice chair seat for a volunteer fire department chief or assistant chief. What are our thoughts on those two positions and having those two positions filled by those two agency style representatives? Pat?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I mean, maybe those two entities don't think it's good, but I think that it's a good way to go. It's you know, it shows the importance of those two organizations to the Fire Safe Council.
I think this discussion came up last month. I kind of caught the tail end of it because I had just kind of gotten here and getting started with them. But I think Mike would do a great job.
I think Philip and or I will do a great job.
Yeah, I think we, you know.
And just a note, Amelia, I don't think that we're getting the email, or I don't think we're on the distribution list. I did send an email earlier today asking, just to make sure, because I don't know if you sent out a MOU draft or anything like that, but.
No, we haven't sent an MOU draft yet. I wanted to discuss a few things before we put it out for comment. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. And then again, our duties for the chair and vice chair are generally to run these meetings and then sign letters of support and then just provide some feedback or guidance to the Fire Safe Council coordinator throughout the year.
Is that position going to start at the beginning of the next year? Or is there a fiscal?
Yes, if we can get the MOU signed and ready to go, it would we would be filling the chair and vice chair positions under the new MOU, and I'm hoping to have that signed, sealed, and delivered by January 1st.
Thank you.
Yes. Great. Okay, so then into the voting rights. So there were a couple different ideas up to how to propose the voting rights. Idea was proposed that there would be a vote for each community, as in the Firewise communities, and then one voting rights for agencies as well. There are different proposals for how to obtain and maintain those voting rights. One of the other local agency or local councils, the Trinity River Watershed Council, their voting rights. The agency or group must attend 3 consecutive meetings to earn their voting rights. if they miss any 2 consecutive meetings, they lose their voting right, but they would attend 1 meeting to regain their voting right. That kind of seemed like a lot to track. But I wanted to get your input on thoughts about voting rights and who has voting rights and how to maintain voting rights.
So, do we have any feedback from like CAL FIRE and the Forest Service, some of the agencies, whether or not they actually feel comfortable voting? I mean, I can see that they might not be able to attend so many consecutive meetings, but if they're not planning on voting, maybe it's a moot point.
Hey, Amelia, this is Tim. So my standpoint for the Forest Service is that we would not be voting on anything. Our job is purely to present and to be there for discussion and advice. But as far as the Fire Safe Council goes, we are a participant, but we're not going to be voting.
So Amelia, a couple of questions. One is, you say each organization. So what about a big organization like the county? Does that mean the county gets one voting representative, which would be their OES, or does the representative from the Board of Supervisors also get a vote? If the planning department gets active, do they get a vote? I think you have to get some clarity there for big entities. I think we have to be, I don't know how to deal with this, but we need to be careful as we become more formal, that we don't begin to bump up against the Federal Advisory Committee Act rules as it relates to the Forest Service and BLM.
Okay.
Amelia, I would offer a perspective that however you handle how the county votes, I don't think that the supervisor assigned, and I could be wrong, somebody correct me, Pat, but there can be situations where you're voting on things that are eventually going to come before the board. And so it seems like the supervisor should be not.
I don't know, Jill. So for example, with the Trinity County Collaborative, both of the members of the Board of Supervisors that are there are voting members and have voted, and the collaborative pretty much only votes on things that go to the Board of Supervisors. But I would think the member of the Board of Supervisors on the Fire Safe Council, if it were something that was going to go before the board, could just recuse his or herself.
Okay, all right.
And are we all in support of looking at structuring voting rights to provide each Firewise community a voting right for the Fire Safe Council, and identifying in future conversations who would be eligible to represent those communities?
Well, I think you are right when you said that trying to track all of these different, when they were here and when they weren't here is putting a lot of extra work on the council. I don't have an answer other than self-governance, to where people felt that they hadn't attended enough to be familiar with even what the item is that they're voting on, that we asked them to withdraw their vote at that time. But I'm not sure, but I think that trying to keep track of it is way too much work for a committee like this, that people come and go each month. differently.
So I kind of agree with Philip. So things like the Trinity County Collaborative, you have to attend so many meetings and all that, and they track all that to ensure that you know what you're talking about when you're voting. But then it's a pretty, they're pretty complicated issues that they're voting on. Most of the time, we're voting on letters of support and more simplistic things. And so I kind of think if someone's attending the meetings, even if it's not consecutively and all that stuff, that they should have the ability to vote. Make it easy.
Would we want to require that they attend one meeting prior to voting rights, or just, you know, they could show up to a meeting and have the right to vote?
Well, I think that they need to at least have done one meeting, and that might just be the criteria, is that when we go to vote, put it out there and say, you know, we're voting on this particular item. If you haven't, if you didn't attend last month's meeting, just so we don't have to try and track, you know, keep track of it. And like I say, let them make that, you know, let them be responsible for their own attendance.
Okay. And do we want to have any limitations on how many votes a community could have, or just have it be based on each individual participating? So if 6 members of Weaverville were attending, you know, do they all get an equal vote, or is it Trinity Center gets a vote, Weaverville gets a vote, Lewiston gets a vote, Junction City gets a vote?
Well, then you kind of get into who's going to make that decision for, you know, if we have 6 people in Weaverville, you got OES, you've got, you know, Weaverville Fire, whatever. We're all looking at each other going, all right, who's going to be the deciding factor here, going to make the vote? So I would say that we all have a say.
Other thoughts or comments?
Well, I'm just gonna jump in as, you know, and I apologize for my maybe founders syndrome kind of thing, but you know, and the anarchist in me, I think we're overanalyzing how we got to do a lot of voting. We don't do a lot of voting, and as Carol said, everything is pretty simple. You know, it's usually more a consensus kind of thing. And you know, do people agree we ought to do such and such? And I just hate to see us become more like government. And I know that's a minority opinion, but you know, I'm happy the way it is. I mean, I think we need an MOU, you know, to guide our overarching, you know, relationship with each other, but the bylaws and all this detail, anyway.
Thank you, Pat.
It's not my bailiwick.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm just hoping to get some guidance so that when I'm updating the MOU, that it's consistent with what everybody's needs and interests are. So thank you for that insight. And then you opened a new question, and just are we all good moving forward with majority vote? That majority rules are going to be at play here for submitting any materials.
Yeah, as the guy who's had to deal with facilitating the collaborative for a number of years, I hate this supermajority thing and how, you know, 1 or 2 people can essentially hijack the decision making. You see it in the Trinity River Management Council too. The supermajority kind of thing is a pain in the butt.
So Amelia, my only other thought is to try and get as many signatories to the MOU as possible, you know, try to get someone from each of the Firewise community boards to sign on, to get like, you know, the Forest Service, BLM, CAL FIRE. If you look at the original signatories, it was actually relatively limited. And I do think that list of who signs on to the MOU and understands kind of what the Fire Safe Council is trying to do, that list, I hope, would be as encompassing as possible.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Do we have any additional questions or comments on this agenda item before we move on?
How often would this get reviewed?
How often would the MOU be renewed?
And the voting rights, is that something that once we have established it, that it's set in stone? Or in a year, if it doesn't work, we can go back over it and alter it?
Pat, you can correct me, but were the last MOUs 5 years?
They were for 5 years and they usually took 1 year to 18 months to get approved by the Forest Service. So the more often you try to change it, the more often it's just going to be sitting on somebody's desk somewhere waiting to be looked at.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how, you know, where the MOU has to go in the Forest Service or BLM. Maybe that's something Tim can research for us from the Forest Service point of view, but it could very well be grants and agreements, you know, one of these regionalized units of the Forest Service, which could, you know, be really slow.
Hello, this is Dina. I wanted to say something about the structure of the Fire Safe Council as well. Those of us from Lower Trinity have been very impressed and eager to be part of this group because of your open, welcoming, and pretty informal organization. And you took us in and you've given us support and advised us. And I agree that the more you formalize this, the more restrictive and limited it is going to be, and keeping it as loose as possible is, I think, would be beneficial to the group, because people like our tribe, who we've been here, but we've never been part of this until last November. And yet we feel like we're a part of it now. And that's a positive thing, because that's not always the case in Trinity County. And I think that looking at, you know, how you bring people into the organization and how formal it is important. And I agree there need to be some rules. And I also agree that getting something passed by the Forest Service takes a long time. If we have to get it approved by the Forest Service, perhaps you want the MOUs to not be so formal. But I really like and appreciate the way this Fire Safe Council relationship works. And I just wanted to add that to the conversation.
Thank you, Tina. Ren, did you have a suggestion on your comment for how often it should be reviewed, or did you have a good answer?
No,
on
I don't have any comments for it.
that? Okay. So with the previous 5-year terms on MOUs, are we comfortable moving forward again with that same 5-year term for potential, or do we want to look at a different term? 10 years?
I think you can only, Forest Service won't do anything longer than 5 years.
Okay.
And even after it expired, we were still doing stuff. So I think, 5 years works, and if it doesn't get renewed within 5 years, we just keep cranking along, and the Forest Service maybe isn't an official partner, but the rest of us are doing our thing.
And I should note for people, I mean, it was the Forest Service who resisted the last time we went to renew it and said, we don't think we need this anymore. We work good enough together. Now, all those people are probably long gone and retired, but anyway.
Okay, I think we might get some support from the state with the formation of the other countywide fire safe councils too. So there may be some different agendas at play now, so we can see how that works as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thank you guys very much, and we'll move into our grants. So today I had 2 letters of support submitted to me. The first is a correction. So we have already approved to move forward with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy grant for the RCD. It's a change of miles. Chris, do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, I can touch on it. Essentially we came to you guys for a letter of support, and it seemed like a good project, clearing roads and opening them up. And then we after met with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, their grants team, and looked at our application, as well as looked into went out into the field and looked at the project. And they just offered a bunch of suggestions to, in their eyes, make it a more competitive ask, which, we're going to listen to the grants team to make it as competitive as possible. And so essentially we just scaled down the project. We just removed roads that were less continuous and kept the roads that, were more heavily traveled and more used, roads that went to trailheads and things like that. So all it did was shrink the project size and scope and get rid of some of the roads that wouldn't have made as much sense to the grantors and probably weren't as, impactful to the public as well. So that's the change that occurred. So it just shrunk it down a bit.
So the RCD is requesting to have their letter re-signed with the corrected miles and decreased acres. So just want to do a quick majority vote to ensure that everybody is comfortable with that correction.
Do we get to see what got taken out?
I can share my screen and show you what's still there. That's what.
So how many miles got taken out?
Maybe Bethany remembers. So now it's 45 miles for around 500 acres.
It was originally, I believe, 81 miles, and a lot of the roads that were removed are really far north of the lake, north of Coffee Creek, and just don't get a lot of use or connect into really a system that feels like a priority.
Bethany or Chris, does this affect the letter that the Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department and CSD sent? Do we need to redo that?
That letter was after we made the modification.
Okay.
So I can't share my screen currently, but yeah.
Right.
Oh, over there. So you guys are seeing this?
No.
Loading.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the current map. Some of these lower southern units tie into the Forest Service Big Pettyjohn project, which we also applied for funding for. And then probably slower than your guys' screen, and then all these roads were kept in, and a lot of the removal was up in the northeast over in kind of this area and even more north. But this is what's current.
Okay.
And I can get this map digitally to Amelia, and she can disperse if people are interested in having a copy of this.
Okay, so raise of hands to support the change in the reduction of miles and acres to send a new letter to the Sierra Nevada Conservancy for the RCD grant, please. Okay, that is the majority of the members of the public and non-agency officials, so we'll be able to move forward with that. The second letter of request is from the Trinity County RCD, and this is related to a FEMA funded project. My intent is to email this out to everyone today to give you all a chance to review it as well for those who are on the screen and don't have it in front of you. And to have a comment period with the hopes to then provide it on Tuesday. The grant is due on Friday, the 4th. And so the RCD is hoping to turn everything in on Wednesday. So my recommendation, I will give them some time to present and answer questions to you, and then send a letter out to everyone to review, provide any comments in the hopes of having this ready for them on Tuesday. All right, go ahead, Chris or Bethany.
So I'll put one of the maps up. So this project it's a request for proposal that, after our last meeting, the McConnell Foundation released, and we've kind of known it was coming for a long time, but they just finally released it, and their proposal process is kind of a nightmare. But it composes two different areas, the North Lake area as well as the Weaverville area, and I'll share that later. And it's essentially to do a ton of fuels reduction work. And this specific proposal is just to do the environmental compliance. And then the project's broken into phases. So phase 1's doing environmental compliance and public outreach and a lot of like the planning work that goes into these projects. And then the second phase is following all the contracting and actual implementation is done separately through the McConnell Foundation through different contractors. So they'll release more bids, and then they'll contract. And then so the second phase of the project is essentially to help administer contracts and verify work and do reporting and invoicing. So that's, I guess, the sum of it. Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, so from Bowerman Ridge Road going to the north towards the Preacher Meadow Campground, that is part of the Bowerman project where we are doing NEPA. So the right of way through there expands out, and Xander, I'm sure, has better numbers there, but just that maybe doesn't need to be included for the acres of your NEPA analysis on that chunk.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, a lot of so the whole project is all only supposed to be on private land, but because it's through FEMA, NEPA compliance has to be done. So we essentially complete the CEQA side, and then that goes to FEMA, and then they review and they do the NEPA. So it's not going to be a super fast process. But part of phase 1 is also identifying where work doesn't need to occur, where work's already going to, or where work's already been done. And so this is just the larger project footprint where work possibly can get done. So it'll scale back a bit as time goes on.
So, Chris, can you put the map back up a second?
Oh, sure. should be coming up, I guess.
Yeah. So the lower portion, so that's SPI and other private land?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay,
So it's, yeah, the bulk of it, the project, the total footprint for the project's around 5,500 acres,
yeah,
and just over 4,000 of those acres are SPI. But it does encompass just, non-timber production kind of area, the non-SPI land. So it's Long Canyon, Guy Covington, and then like the Grizzly Lane community.
so just to let you know, some of that Grizzly Lane community had NEPA done last year for EQIP.
Mm-hmm. I was.
So you should be able to get that from those landowners.
Yeah, no, that's, I think as we, if we're awarded this, because, we're competing against other agencies and
Yeah.
no one else really locally, but a lot of that stuff will be gathered,
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Chris, I think they have a good point, though, that if you add that to the proposal, it might give you a leg up as you already have the connections and the networking, and you're showing that you have that collaboration already at your fingertips.
Yeah, no, that is a great point. And a lot of it, I think us versus some outfit from Reading, we're definitely using a lot of the language that leans into what we've already done and our connections within the community that already exist. So
yeah,
Oh,
less of a battle for us than it might be for some. I don't know.
Well, and likewise, the Guy Covington project, the NEPA is already done for it, and that acreage is what I see included in there.
Yeah, so it's not on Forest Service land, so it's
Right.
So it wouldn't be complete for that specific spot, but and then I'll just share the other map that is the Weaverville area, and then if people have questions on that, then.
On the North Lake one, is it possible to include Stroke Creek?
So we didn't make this footprint, and
Oh,
it's pretty, I think it's pretty much what it is, so.
okay.
Are you guys seeing the Weaverville one?
yeah. Ooh,
Yeah, so this is the Weaverville area, and then the also primarily SPI land. It encompasses the Timber Ridge community. And then I guess I can update now or later, but there's a brief update on this purple chunk of state lands that I'll just wait for the RCD update, but.
cool.
So the letter currently states, Dear Mr. Carter, the Trinity County Fire State Council supports the Trinity County Resource Conservation District proposal to complete the Trinity Hazard Mitigation Alliance, landowner outreach, site assessments, and project monitoring. The TCRCD, in partnership with the Trinity County Fire State Council, volunteer fire departments, the Watershed Research Training Center, SPI, CAL FIRE, BLM, and the U.S. Forest Service, has accomplished a sustainable amount of fire hazard reduction on both public and private lands, and has demonstrated the capacity to successfully implement and administer this type of project. This hazard mitigation project is a critical step to increase the pace and scale of wildfire resilience efforts in Trinity County. The success of this project is of utmost importance, and we believe that as a locally situated agency, TCRCD has the highest chance of completing this project in line with our community's needs. They have the partnership relationships, community trust, and experience with the local landscape required to make this project successful. In addition, selecting TCRCD instead of an outside firm will contribute to rural economic resilience and capacity building here in Trinity County. So I think that's supposed to be FSC, but the Trinity County Fire State Council would like to demonstrate their support for this proposal. Thank you for the consideration. Sincerely, and then it would be signed by Todd. So with that, I would like to ask for a majority vote to have this letter sent out to everyone after the meeting, to provide a time for comments with the intent to send the letter after Tuesday, barring any significant comments of not in support.
Just, I guess, just one more thing, just, I hopefully it doesn't take any votes away or anything, but the intention is to use Vestra, which is a rating agency, to subcontract with them to do a lot of the environmental compliance, as we just in-house with our CD don't have the capacity, and we reached out to the watershed center and they just currently also don't have the capacity. So just that relationship will exist. So just, just to make sure people are kind of aware of that.
I've worked with Vestra before. I've done things with them. They're good.
So one last thing, Chris, you might want to check with PUD, because a lot of the 300-foot widening of the power line that goes along Highway 3 was on private land, and they did all the NEPA and stuff for that. CEQA, sorry.
Well, they did NEPA and CEQA.
Both.
Yeah. No, that's a really good thing. I would definitely note that. It'll help down the road to, get more work done on the ground. So thanks, Carl.
All right. Thank you. You may lower your hands. We have the majority vote to send this out after the meeting for comment, and then to submit the letter of support on Tuesday, barring any major negative comments. If there are major negative comments, I will come back to the Fire Safe Council via email on Wednesday to have those addressed.
And then I guess before we move on, I just want to apologize for we've been pretty slammed trying to put this thing together, and it was definitely more last minute than I would have preferred to get this to the group. So I should have had it earlier, but I didn't. So I apologize for that.
Thank you. So we're going to move into the Fire Safe Council coordinate update. So we have a few things going on, and I have some requests to make from all of our agencies. So we have two parallel occurring projects right now. So we have the Firewise community renewals, where we're asking for how much work you've done in each community in the last year. And then we have our community wildfire protection plan analysis. So we're looking to, one, get the project locations that you've completed or worked in within the last year, and a value of how many hours or how much money you guys have spent in each community. And then we are secondarily looking to get your planning projects, your completed projects, your implementation projects since 2020 until today, to look at the community wildfire protection plan. What we're trying to report is what percentage of our community wildfire protection plan projects we've completed to date, and how much still left. We're going to review both the 2015 community wildfire protection plan and the 2020 community wildfire protection plan. So those data requests have been in our newsletters. I will send out another reminder after the meeting today, but I would really like to have any shape files for those to me by, let's say November 10th, so that I can do a GIS exercise and have some values for you guys at the November 17th meeting, and have some discussions about how our projects are being prioritized and how we're going to implement our community wildfire protection plan. Okay.
Amelia, I started filling out the form online and I got stumped. So if we hired the RCD to do some of the work, that's something you already know. I don't want to double count stuff. So do I report stuff where you guys were the contractor?
I would say, Carol, just go ahead and report it, and then Amelia, with GIS, we can get rid of any of those overlaps.
Okay.
All right. Other questions on those two different data reporting requests? Okay, so moving into continuing on with our Firewise renewals, we are doing a Firewise Community Board formation. So we have invited our local area advisors, our neighborhood ambassadors, and our volunteer fire departments and their community service districts for this year to streamline these board formations. The Trinity County RCD staff are putting together and have already completed the home assessment or the community assessments. So those were completed by Miles and Charlie in the last month. So we will be presenting on the outcomes of those, and then we are going to be reviewing a 3-year plan. So when I discussed this with the Chiefs Association, we were going to do a more general 3-year plan this year, get some input from that board, and just due to the time constraint, we weren't going to do a full community review. Next year, once we have a little bit more time, we'll do a full public notice for our Firewise community boards, invite more members of the public to participate, and then also do more public notice for the 3-year annual plans to have more opportunity for comment on those. This year, we're just trying to work within the constraints of getting it done on time. And so next year, knowing that this is the plan moving forward, we'll be able to adjust for that and have more public input. Do we have any questions? The Firewise Community Board meetings are the next 2 Fridays. They are, so Friday the 28th, we have our first set, which is most of the North Lake communities. And then on Friday the 4th, we have our remaining communities that are more downriver into Southern Trinity County. And then the Trinity Center has been rescheduled for the 1st at 5:30.
That would be me right there.
Okay, hearing nothing on that one. We have finalized our schedule for our fall Firewise community meetings. So those are going to be held. The social media went out today. It has been in the paper the last 2 months. The emails to everyone in the Fire Safe Council are going to go out this afternoon. Post Mountain is November 3rd at 4:30. So that's right before their general plan meeting. So we hope to catch a lot of people there. Lewiston is November 8th at 6 p.m. Hawkins Bar, November 10th at 5:30 p.m. Burnt Ranch, November 14th at 5. Douglas City, November 15th at 6. Hayfork, November 17th at 5:30. Riverville, December 13th at 6. Mad River Ruth, December 15th at 6. And Hyam Palm, December 19th at 5. I invite all agencies to come and participate in these meetings. I'm not a one-hit wonder. This is intended to bring in multiple different agencies to talk to the public, talk about what projects you guys are doing in their community, also hear what they would like to see. So we're here to just talk to them. We'll be discussing the new evacuation zones. I have funding to do an evacuation route planning project in the next year. So I'm going to talk to them a little bit about that. And I also want to hear from you guys in those meetings. We'll have the big maps printed out, people drawing on them. And so I'd love to have as many people participate as would like to. So this will go out in email this afternoon, and you'll all get updates on this. Flyers are going out in the communities tomorrow and Monday, and you're welcome to take some with you if you like. All right. Our first wildfire assessment program training was completed this week. So we had 8 participants that were certified. So this is the new assessment program for the Big Red Truck. So this is a liability-free assessment program that was developed by the National Volunteer Firefighter Council. And so we're utilizing this program moving forward in our Big Red Truck. It covers from evacuation preparedness, emergency preparedness, home hardening, defensible space. And so we'll be starting to offer those services both from the Trinity County RCD, as staff can go out and complete these assessments, as well as we are still partnering with our local volunteer fire departments for them or our local area advisors or neighborhood ambassadors to go out and complete these home assessments. So in the past, we've provided $50 or $75 for individuals in the VFDs completing the Big Red Truck program. This assessment's a bit more thorough. It's going to take more time. And so we're going to reevaluate our contracts and increase the values for assessment with those volunteer fire departments. Regina, we should touch base and discuss the Willow Creek Fire Safe Council's capacity and interest in providing that service in the downriver area, as Sawyer or Hawkins Bar are currently not participating in the Big Red Truck program.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. We have the second of the WFAP trainings in November. So this first one was in class one day and then out in the field to practice the assessments the second day. In November, we are promoting a hybrid model. So they will be doing the classroom at home. The webinars are online. They'll be able to complete those before coming to the field session. And so it's November 12th. We'll be meeting here and then going out to homes in the community of Weaverville to run through the assessments and have some of the conversations about each of the different questions within that worksheet. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Maya. So she has an update on our youth education.
Thanks, Amelia. Starting next week, we are rolling out our fire education lessons in Weaverville Elementary. We'll be teaching 4th and 5th graders, so about 75 students, a series of 4 lessons covering fire in Trinity County, fire management, emergency preparedness, and fire ecology. We are then hoping to take these lessons to as many schools and students in Trinity County as we can. So likely moving next to Junction City and then Douglas City and on from there. So we're really excited about that. That'll be led by myself with assistance from Miles and Charlie and Duncan McIntosh, who also recently came onto the RCD. Additionally, we are leading a fire education day for the Creekside Learning Center, which is a charter school in Willow Creek, and they're coming out here on November 10th for a couple hours of fire education activities. And we'd love to, take them out into the forest and show them some field reduction treatments as well. So that is also exciting. And I think that's all coming up in November.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for me or Maya for anything that we have going on with the coordination of the Fire Safe Council at the moment?
So Maya, how are you letting the schools know that you're available to come teach these? Sorry.
We're kind of reaching out school by school. We really wanted to focus on Weaverville first, since this is the, first rollout of the lessons, and so we can focus close while we, get them really finalized and really down, and then we'll move on to more schools from there. So typically we've been reaching out to like the principal of the school and seeing which grade it would fit best in with their curriculum, or which teachers might be most interested in implementing that in their classroom. So we will be reaching out to schools directly when we are ready for them.
Yeah, I was working to finish piloting these lessons in Weaverville, and then we'll be reaching out from there, as she mentioned. We do have interest from Junction City already, so we'll be reaching out to them shortly to start that. But the intent and the funding for this is to take it to as many schools as we can throughout the community. So we do want to go down to Mad River and Ruth. We want to go to Burnt Ranch. We want to go to Trinity Center. We're not just looking to stay in Weaverville. We want to go to Hayfork. We want to go where whoever is willing to have us.
I see a question from Jill asking about the grades. So we can be very flexible. The lessons are tailored to middle schoolers. You know, 4th, 5th grade is kind of prime, but we can definitely tailor it to younger kids or older kids. And that's really where, you know, reaching out to the schools and seeing which teachers may be the most interested or which grades it may fit best with their curriculum. We can be flexible to fit it in with the schools how they see fit, basically.
Great. Seeing no other questions or concerns, we will move into our project updates. So we will start with the Lower Trinity Prescribed Burn Association.
I wonder if she just canceled her role.
Okay. Hearing nothing, we will move to Deb from the North Coast Unified Air Quality Monitoring District.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be here and it's good to see everyone. The district is ramping down from wildfire and we've moved into prescribed fire and burn permit renewals. Over here on Humboldt, Del Norte, and Western Trinity County, the burn suspension will be lifted on Friday. Eastern Trinity County will still be suspended. So there's going to be a little confusion there in the beginning. We'll start that tomorrow morning. Six Rivers has lifted the campfire restrictions as of today. Everybody's burning and putting in their smoke management plan. So I'm happy to say that prescribed fire is alive and well in our area. That's it for me. Unless anyone has any questions.
Hey, this is Tim. Just for clarification on Western and Eastern Trinity County. Eastern Trinity County is defined as in the borders of the Shasta Trinity National Forest. Western Trinity County is in the Six Rivers National Forest.
That is correct. That's my understanding. Yes.
Yeah. So just making sure that that's clear for folks. And the
Yes,
Shasta
thank
Trinity
you.
is going to come out of fire restrictions tomorrow as well for campfires, but yeah.
Well, I confirmed with CAL FIRE Shasta Trinity yesterday, and they are not lifting the suspension for residential burning or any type of burning. So the campfire restriction is totally separate from the burn permit and the burning for residential purposes or prescribed fire unless you have a specific special permit from CAL FIRE or the Forest Service. And that's it for me. Thank you, Tim, for clarifying that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Deb. I'm just doing a quick survey of who else is here. Carol, we're going to move on to the Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department.
Well, I guess the RCD is coming up on Monday to do some fuel reduction around some of our infrastructure and our higher priority residential areas. That's on Monday. And I think that's all our news.
Trinity County Board of Supervisors, and then I'll open that up to Trinity County OES if you have any updates to provide.
Sure. So I know it's a lot of dates to remember, so I just put the planning page of the county website in the chat for you. But all of the community workshops are coming up for the general plan update. So, you know, if you look at that and think, oh, I have that date available, I could get to that workshop. You need to try to get to the one that is your community. This is about the community elements of the general plan. So if you can provide your comments and interest areas and those pieces for your community. And if you would help to get the word out. Oftentimes, as you all know, because we do this together, we have these meetings around about the county and participation can be slim. And so if we can build excitement and really share the importance of, speaking into this, that would be good. So the website is there, and that's what I have.
Thank you, Jill. Mike or Philip?
Well, I guess I'll go first. First project that I've got going on, the emergency alert sirens. It's been a project that was out there when Ed was in this position. We purchased 4 sirens for some of the areas in the county, and we're looking to purchase more. Some questions have come up about these sirens and what they're for. What we're really trying to do is, especially in the outlying areas, if there's a fast-moving wildfire that it's like Paradise and things like that, that has sparked up heavy winds, things are moving fast, and the sheriff's office can't get there quick enough to start evacuations. We want these sirens in place to be able to alert the community in that area of the dangers. Things move so fast anymore with these fires. We're just looking at another source of communication to get the word out. Code red and those things are great, but they're not. Not everybody is signed up, or maybe somebody doesn't have their phone with them. So that's where these sirens are really going to come in. They're not set for every fire or every emergency that's in the area, or medical call, or they don't go off at noon or anything like that. So we have 4 of them. We're trying to slowly start to get those in place, and we actually have money in this next grant to purchase more. So I'm working with Todd in Weaverville and out in Burnt Ranch and Southern Trinity to get these put together. Trinity PUD has a program that's going to help us get these installed through their community investment program, where they'll cover the cost of either the labor and equipment or the material to get these things set. So that's it's still a little ways away. We're still looking and trying to get everything put together on those. And the other grant that kind of came back around again is this Frontier grant that was back from 2018, 2019. And I believe that we did come across a PowerPoint presentation that I believe was probably put out with this group quite a while back. If anybody's interested in it, I can even email them. It's a short PowerPoint, it's probably about 10 or 12 pages. But it's outlining about 19 to 20 locations where we're going to put ham radios for a backup communication source throughout the county, and actually installing 2 more repeaters, working with Carl Fisher and a couple of other people with the Trinity, the local Trinity ham radio club. And we have all the equipment. We're going to start putting those in place. We're also working with Red Cross to make sure that we put these in areas where shelters are going to be in place too. So there's a lot to that, but that's another project that I've got going on. And I'll hand it over to Mike to kind of let him give you an update on what he's doing next door to me.
Yeah, just a couple of other things that we've got going on. We've got a lot of projects going on. We've got a new emergency management grant that we will be developing projects for. We're just getting that started, and we'll be developing those projects over the next couple of months. But one of the things we're working on is adding capability to conduct damage assessments of both public infrastructure damage and residential damage, most often due to fire, of course, but this will allow our environmental health and other staff following a fire to go out into the field and conduct damage assessments pretty much automatically using a tablet or a smartphone offline, so they won't have to have cell service. They'll be able to get that data much quicker than they're able to do it now, get it uploaded to where we can see that in the EOC, and we can also use that to complete any kind of reimbursement that we're seeking from the state or federal government, whether it's CDAA or FEMA. So that's going to help out. And then some other capabilities with our code red system that will be around providing kind of non-emergency updates for people via text message. So yeah, that's about it.
Great.
So,
Does anyone have any questions for the county?
I do. So what is the status of the revisions to the hazard mitigation plan?
So right now we've got two things. So one thing, we worked on a contract with RCD to work on a longer term rewrite. What we're doing now is setting up a call with Cal OES. So they have this, at least they used to have a process for doing kind of an abbreviated update to the hazard mitigation plan to allow us to at least have it in progress and still considered current. Although that seems to have changed. So we're trying to get more clarification on what that process is for the abbreviated update, because the longer term rewrite is going to take some time. It's not an easy process. So we had gotten some feedback from Cal OES on what they wanted to see updated in our current or our expired hazard mitigation plan. And it's quite an extensive list of updates. So we're trying to get that clarification. What are the guidelines for the abbreviated update versus the regular update? So we're setting up a call with them to see how we can get that done and get us into a status where our plan would be considered current for the purposes of applying for funding.
Right. So if we wanted to apply for the FEMA BRIC program the next go round, we would need a current hazard mitigation plan. And
yeah.
So we don't have any estimate of when we would actually have that then.
No, well, depending on once we know exactly what they're requiring of us to be updated, we'll know what we need to target. And then we have at least from what they're telling me, a 90-day period of 45 days for Cal OES to review. And assuming they approve, then another 45 days for FEMA to review and hopefully approve. So.
Okay, I think from the Fire Safe Council's perspective, it's important to do what we can do to get that update and a current plan in place, because BRIC does have some potential home hardening funds for like low income communities, and I'd really like to be able to tap into that, which we can't do until we get the updated hazardous mitigation plan. So anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, great. Well, thanks a lot, you guys.
Moving into Trinity County Collaborative Group, Pat.
Sure. So we had a really good field trip last Friday to look at what Trinity River Management Unit thinks will be its next big NEPA project. Kind of the back roads from Big Bar, Corral Bottom, up and around and back out at Burnt Ranch. We had about 16 people attend the field trip. Had Tara Jones, the ranger, with us. Real preliminary now, though, in early November, we're going to have just to sit down and start looking at maps and begin to try to flesh out what that project would be. Be a mix of just traditional thin from below fuels reduction projects and some merchantable harvests. So kind of look forward to that being the next big project area. And the next collaborative meeting is November 17th, 18th. It'll be a hybrid meeting, live and Zoom. And that'll be the last formal meeting of the calendar year because we meet every other month.
And that meeting, my understanding, Pat, and you can correct me, but based on talking with Kelly, that meeting's going to be open to the Trinity County Fire Safe Council and to the Weaverville Community Forest, as Eric Knapp from the United States Forest Service Pacific Northwest Research Station will be presenting at that meeting. So we're going to
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
invite the other groups to attend as
Right.
their goal.
I think that's it.
What time is that out?
The collaborative meetings are from 10 till 1. Usually something like that.
I'll send out a save the date for everyone too.
Yeah.
Great. Questions for Pat? Hearing none, we'll move to the RCD. Chris.
Yeah, so we've had all our crews busy working. Most of October was pretty busy with community chipping that was done throughout the county using a combination of RAC funding from the Forest Service as well as funding from the Watershed Center under the Stevens Act, as well as CAL FIRE funding. So we had a bunch of funding for community chipping and chipped pretty much everywhere in the county where people turned in their form. We've been active out in the Guy Covington area, working on federal land, as well as doing some work under CAL FIRE funding on SPI ground at that intersection off of Highway 3 in Guy Covington. And then we've been busy in the Mad River Ranger District working with Nancy, who might update on that in a little more detail, but the crews have been out there clearing roads for access for equipment and things like that. And then we've also been, on my end, more the working on some grant proposals. So 2 Sierra Nevada Conservancy grants are due this Friday. One of them's already been submitted. The other one, you guys signed the letter, and that'll probably be submitted end of the day today. So those will be out there. And then this request for proposal, which I already updated on earlier. I guess another thing of interest, it's still early days, but we've had a few meetings now with the State Lands Commission about acquiring permission or an MOU or something similar to that to do work on that purple section that I can bring up the map if people want to see it again, but that's essentially east of Weaverville. There's a big block of state lands that essentially nobody is managing. And so we're looking for future projects to get permission to access that land and be able to treat that land. It's just a lot of it's SPI over in there, and then to the north is all Forest Service, and to the south and west is BLM land, and they're actively managing that with the community forest. And so there's kind of a missing piece that's state land. So that's something that we'll update on as it moves forward. But we've met with them multiple times, and it seems like pretty positive so far. So we should be able to do some work out in there in the coming years. But that's just an early update kind of on that. So unless people have questions, that's all I have.
Okay, so the another item that's open right now is the California Fire Safe Council has about $20,000 available via grant to the priority communities or priority counties that had the original Fire Safe Council funding. So Trinity County is a priority. The Watershed Center is interested in going after those $20,000 to see about standing up some of their prescribed burn association education. So if that comes out further, I'll make sure that comes before us if they proceed with that for a letter of support. Trinity River Lumber.
Getting into burn season, like Deb was talking about earlier, we're waiting on weather to implement prescribed fire, and things are winding down for the year.
To the Sonongwe tribe. Dina, are you with us?
I am with you. I wanted to report on a couple of things. One is last Wednesday, the people from the County Office of Education, from Burnt Ranch School, the Sunungway, and a contractor went to the top of Ironside Mountain to acknowledge and celebrate the fact that the students from Burnt Ranch School now have high-speed internet. It's a project we've been working on for 17 years. It took us that long to get everything in place. I've been up to the mountain a couple of times this summer, and from the bottom to the top, it's still in the same state it was after the fire, the monument fire. And the Forest Service has contacted us. It appears that they're ready to go forward with the hazmat cleanup from the lookout burning. And so they ask us for to give them a monitor to monitor the cleanup. And they also are planning to put an emergency communication tower up at the top on an old cement pad that they had in place so that there is the ability for emergency communications up and down the river for not only the Forest Service, but emergency like the fire department and people, CHP people like that. Also, there has been a lot of cleanup on the South Fork Road area, and it's not exclusively, but primarily tribal families live there. And the job that they've done so far is just amazing, wonderful. They cleaned it up and they even stacked the firewood for an elder. And we're looking forward to them continuing that work. We also, Blaze may have reported it, but 2 of our Indian families here in our area have been approved for prescribed burns. And so our whole community is looking forward to that and gathering together and figuring out how to safely go about the burn. So there are things happening and they're all positive.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Dina? Blaze, we missed you earlier. Do you have anything to add for the Lower Trinity Prescribed Burn Association? Okay. Shasta Trinity National Forest. Who wants to start?
Tim.
I'm on as well. So first thing, the work that we had contracted out along Trinity Dam Boulevard is wrapped up. It's a thin from below and pile. So that contract is complete, and then we'll be looking to burn piles. Maybe not this winter, but certainly by next winter. And then Carville, the decision memo was signed. We're going to be completing that work in-house with some of our fire folks. Again, I believe it's a cut and chip project, just 8.5 acres or so. And like Tim had mentioned, coming out of fire restrictions this week, tomorrow, I believe. So be able to have a campfire again. And then that's all I got, unless Tim's got something to add in.
Yeah, so while this call was going on, we did receive our authorization to resume our prescribed fire activities on the Shasta Trinity National Forest. I imagine the Six Rivers is in the same boat. We submitted our request within a couple days of each other. And that's part of the 90-day pause that was implemented by the national office following the events in New Mexico this last year. So part of that process is that we are updating our burn plans to a new template. And so there's a few hoops that we were having to jump through this year, but the important part is we've now cleared the biggest hurdle, and so we have the authorization to resume prescribed fire activities. It also means that we can support prescribed fire activities. So if the watershed center has the opportunity to burn in Weaverville, we now can support them with our folks on scene. So that's a timely process, but it's a big win to get the program stood back up. So with that, I would imagine that as the conditions change, we'll really be looking to start implementing large projects on the west side of the forest, getting our pile burning going as it starts to get wet. If we have opportunities to do underburning in the Weaver Basin, we're going to be taking advantage of those. That burn plan is just about complete to the new template. So that's where we're at, and unfortunately it's that way across the region right now. So we haven't been able to jump in fully, but there's an acknowledgement that we are moving forward.
So I got a question for Nate. Nate, when do you think you will do the Carville project? Just so that we can let the people know.
So I believe we're gonna start cutting on that next week, and then it'll be a cut and chip as we go. So yeah. Again, doing that in-house, we don't have to go through the contracting process, so we can be a little bit more expedient about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You guys, do you post anything just to let people know what's going on? Or I'm just, I could put something in our newspaper column for the Coffee Creek folks, but I'm just wondering, do you usually post anything that says, okay, we're going to be, don't worry, we're out here working and doing fuel reduction. How can we help you get the word out?
Our forest PAO should be working on a press release for that. But I know she's got a multitude of other things that are going on. So we'll try to get word out through her. We may be starting, being that it's Thursday and we're going to start on Monday, we'll probably be started before the press release actually hits the ground.
Is that Ruth? Is that Ruth Esperance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can coordinate with her and see if I can help her. Okay. Thanks very much. That's great, you guys.
Keith?
Yeah. So Keith Roars again here with the Shasta Trinity out of the Hay Fork. Over the summer months, we've been going out with our fire crews, chipping roads. Some of it just to the south of Hay Fork, some of it over there by Wildwood, and the 16 road that goes from basically Lime Dyke into Butter Creek area. So they've just been doing a hand brush thinning, just the road prism, mainly so we could get, have better access to go in and out with equipment. Out of the couple months, they managed to get like about 57 miles done and chipped. But we're ramping that down because we're kind of going to get, like Tim was saying, we're going to start looking into our burning. Our burning, we got like 1,000 acres of hand piles we just never got to last year because of the weather. We had to stop. We do have a little understory burn at the Harrison Gulch admin compound. We're still working on that, burn slams like Tim was saying. And then also we're going to use our force account in between burning and weather. They're going to start going out and do some site prep in some of the plantations that were burnt over during the August fire. And I know Silviculture's got 500 acres right now in contract for site prep. We'll be burning that as well. So we got a lot of burning to do, mostly hand piles and some machine piles.
Where is that plantation site prep taking place?
Forest Glen.
Forest Glen area. Yeah.
So they're out there working right now. I think they've gotten through
We got like 80 acres. or
Yeah,
something.
I think it's somewhere around 80 acres that
Pile.
have already
There's a lot of.
forestry, so.
Now the contractors are moving right along, there's like 36 of them out there, so they're. Hopefully they'll get it done before the snows.
Great. All right, any other questions or comments for the Shasta Trinity? All right, hearing none, we'll move to Six Rivers. Nancy, are you still with us? I do not see Nancy. Oh, okay. The watershed is not here today, correct? Don't see anyone. I don't see anyone from Weaverville. Willow Creek Fire Safe Council, Regina.
Yes, hello, everybody. Boy, we seem like we've been busy. The month went by fast. There's a lot of little things going on for our nonprofit, all volunteer group. We've had a few chipper days. And of course, sometimes we receive donations from that. Been let's see, we had a different grant come in from our CC, Coast Central Credit Union, that we applied for. That will just help us out with operational stuff. We look forward to those kind of small grants and donations for our chipper program. We had an involvement for a speaking opportunity at the Willow Creek Library and received $500. It was very low attended, but we had a good little round session talk with the librarian and didn't realize that they are actually a very good resource for us. And we don't look into them much. Everybody's gone to social media and they're there with old books. So, but it was a good, and it earned us $500. Also, our Adopt a Highway program that we volunteer to clean up a stretch along 96. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard something else going on. So yeah, our Adopt a Highway program is kind of, it's always been ongoing, but there's some new program. We earn $250 for just cleaning up the highway within the month. So again, we look forward to those little things. It gets our name out there on a sign. And so that's kind of some of our fundraising, other than we have a spaghetti dinner planned for next month, Friday on November 4th. We'll have a raffle, and it's just kind of a give back to the community with good food. And so then also we have, well, the few other different grants we've tried to be involved with, and the RAT grant, we thank you for all your support, and that'll be an ongoing kind of a update thing. Looking forward to a field trip. And then our coordinator that we hired this last August 1st, he started, we've been doing some of that project work also, and a couple of it picked up an older demo project for 2 houses, defensible space right around. They're like a showcase for the Willow Creek area. So those are all in Humboldt County. Trinity County, there will be, like Amelia said, get together and see what we could do there for the Salyer and South Fork. That's kind of another representation that we try to, it's a challenge to do both counties when fundings come from one specific county. But yet, you know, we're trying to stay up. I believe our crew capacity is tapped out. We've got a lot of people doing different things. Been trying to get into that new office and get set up and get organized. We did just relocate our binders from storage, you know, reference binders. And we did get involved with a community scarecrow contest. You know, it's just, we're trying to have fun within the body of the overall program. That just, there's so many opportunities out there right now with grant monies funneling through. And it sounds like that's how we're gonna, other than the CWDG grant that hopefully comes through here in the near future, that could change our role as all volunteers. We'll see. But yeah, there's, again, a lot going on, but we're moving on to next month. If there's any questions, any thoughts from anyone, otherwise I'm done. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Regina. I see Blaze. So we'll go to Lower Trinity Prescriber and Association, and then I see Nancy Curran came back on, so we'll then go to Six Rivers.
Yeah, hi everybody. So Some good news for our PBA. I see Deb Harris is here. Hi, Deb. We had our first 2 smoke management plans approved. We have 1 parcel that's ready and 1 that needs a little bit more fuel treatment and a little more pre-treatment. But we're excited to get those 2 done in the fall. Like Gina said, the Willow Creek community actually came together to work with Humboldt County RCD and Trinity County RCD, the Willow Creek Community Services District, the Volunteer Fire Department, the Fire Safe Council, and the PBA to pursue the Community Wildfire Defense Grant. We're fingers crossed. It was pretty great to see everybody come together. It was very impressive. And I think just in and of itself, the process of putting that proposal together was very capacity building. Like, it showed us what we need to be able to do to sort of help ourselves. Since then, the PBA, we're sort of following a path to look at some air quality concerns that stem from wildfire incidences. And putting together an air quality response template in partnership with with assistance from the HOOPA EPA. Brian McCoy has offered to sort of shepherd us through this so we can pay attention to concerns for buildings in the downtown area that are maybe don't have the cleanest air during incidents, but we can rectify that, with resources that we would hope to acquire by establishing that response between us and other volunteer organizations that jump in and do the disaster response when we do have a wildfire. As you know, and as many of you know, we have many. We're also in talks again with Humboldt County RCD about the future of our biomass issue. This green waste, we call it waste. We're trying to sort of adjust to look at that green waste as a potential green resource. I know it's the woody feedstock initiative that the North Coast Regional Partnership is currently looking at. And so we're looking to get involved in that conversation just based on the sheer amount of green waste we have. I know that it's always something people talk about. I never know if it's the right time for something like this, but because I'm seeing, looking at other regional RCDs and them sort of embarking on these green waste utilization programs, I think that's something that we're interested in learning more about. So yeah, I feel like that's pretty comprehensive for where we're looking right this moment. But yeah, cheers. Thanks, everybody.
Nice. And Blaze, just to add, the Lower Trinity Prescribed Burn Association is putting together a collaborative meeting for the greater Willow Creek area on November 9th from 1 to 3 p.m.
Yes, we are. And I also did want to touch base that I did end up, so we do have that meeting, and it's going to be at our 111 Mayfair space. It's in downtown Willow Creek. And I had touched base with Randy Paris about us and the Watershed Hayfork putting on some training programs down here. So that's really exciting. And I know it's not the best time to pull everybody back away from fire season, but I think that once we can get everybody in the same Zoom room, we can talk about doing some prescribed fire training and maybe like a basic 32 for the homeowner, which has always been Miss Gina Moon's sort of rallying cry. And I very much agree and support that. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. So.
Great. Questions for Blaze? No? Okay. We'll go to Nancy Curran with Six Rivers. Maybe. Nancy, you're there? I think she has a standing meeting that conflicts with this. Okay. With that, is there anything else, any go backs that we want to discuss or address today?
Amelia, I just wanted to give the group a quick update, and Pat can correct me, but at the Trinity County Resource Advisory Committee meeting, we did get several proposals which the Fire Safe Council might be interested in. I think 2 from the Watershed Center. One was to do outreach for prescribed burn associations, kind of potentially contacting communities around the county and doing more outreach to try to get the word out about how to set them up and the benefits. That was one proposal. There was another proposal to do a lot of fuel reduction work in southern Trinity, Hayfork, High and Palm area south, where, you know, landowners could sign up to have some work done. I think the priority was landowners whose property backed up against the Forest Service. And then there was the proposal that Regina mentioned. The Willow Creek Fire Safe Council has a proposal to do fuel reduction work along Hennessy Road as an evacuation route. I think those were the 3 main ones that were kind of fuel reduction and Fire Safe Council related, unless Pat can tell me which ones I forgot.
No, those were the 3. And I would just mention to Philip and Mike, I don't know, it's not your bailiwick, but it's a county road. It's County Road 435, and there hasn't really been much maintenance on that, and it's an evacuation route. And so the Fire Safe Council is looking to get grant funding through the Resource Advisory Committee to help improve that ingress and egress.
And so one of the questions from the RAC is going to be,
Why isn't the county doing it?
yeah,
And I don't know that Gina has had much luck talking to the county road department.
Did you say that was 435?
435.
it's Hennessy Road.
It's a very good question.
And even though it's not a fuels reduction project, Dina, you and I need to have a telephone call to kind of tighten up the proposal you submitted too.
Okay, I'm glad to do that.
Great.
Thank you for that update. Any other questions or concerns? Nancy, your last chance. All right, well, Nancy, if you can hear me, but you can't talk, shoot us an email with your updates and I'll get that shared out to everyone. Thank you all for attending today. We will see you on November 17th at 10 a.m. And with that, we'll give you a bit of time back in your afternoon. Have a lovely day.